Hey, welcome back. Now we've implemented damage when the enemy hits the character. We need to be able to see this with a health bar. We're going to create a health bar in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, in our _game folder, we're going to go into HUD and right-click and create a new widget blueprint. Let's call this character health bar. Now, I'm going to open character health bar. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is delete the canvas panel and get a progress bar and drag that in. I'm going to rename the progress bar health bar. Now let's set the fill color and opacity to red by setting the red to 1 and green and blue to 0 and alpha to 1. I'm going to click OK. Now we need to create a binding for %. So go ahead and click bind and create binding. Now I'm going to want a reference to the character in this widget blueprint. So I'm going to add a new variable and call this shooter character. Now I'm going to set the variable type to shooter character BP. And I'm going to select object reference. So now we'll have a variable of type shooter character BP. Now here in this binding function, we can get the shooter character and check to see if it's valid. And if it's not valid, we can simply get player pawn and cast this to shooter character BP. Now once we've cast, then we can set shooter character equal to the value returned by the cast. Now we need to return a float value for this, so I'm going to promote this return value to a variable and call this health %. Now I simply need to set health %. So for the isValid case here, I'm going to drag off of shooter character and get health and also get max health. And I'm going to divide health by max health to get a fraction that represents the fraction of the health bar that we need to set. So I'm going to drag out a setter for health % and set it equal to the result of this division. Now I'm going to copy these nodes and paste them down here and hook up the result of our setter for shooter character into health and max health. So now we have a setter for health % in the not valid case where we get our shooter character. So in both cases, we're setting our health %. Now we can plug both of these in to the return node. So we're binding the % to the fraction health divided by max health. Let's go ahead and compile this. Now we need to add our health bar to the screen, and we can go into our shooter HUD overlay and add the health bar here. So in the palette, let's search for character health bar and drag one in. I'm going to place it up here at the top left of the screen and drag it out to where it's a nice long rectangle. Now by default, it's anchored up here to the top left, which is perfect. So we now have our health bar being displayed in the shooter HUD overlay. Now we can simply press play and test this out. I'm going to go to a second viewport so we can get full screen. And let's go ahead and let the enemy attack us. And there we go. The enemy is now causing damage and it's displayed on the health bar. Now, if we want, we can make this health bar a little prettier by going into the Designer tab and clicking the drop-down next to Style. Now, for background image, I'm going to click the drop-down and go to our tint bar and drag our value bar down to black and put our alpha at 0.5. That way we have a sort of transparent background. So now we don't have that ugly default gray for the background. So let's go ahead and test this out again. And we can let the enemy attack us. And now we have that smoky background, which looks a little bit better. Now the enemy is still coming a little close, and we can actually affect how close the enemy gets by going into our behavior tree. And here in enemy controller, let's open behavior tree, and we can take this rightmost branch, which has the move to for when the enemy is chasing the player, and we can change the acceptable radius. Let's put it to 100. See how that looks. And now the enemy stops 100 units away. So that's looking pretty good. All right, that's going to conclude this video. We now have a health bar for the character, and the enemy is attacking and damaging the character, and that is reflected in the character's health bar. Excellent job. We're going to continue implementing damage effects in the next video. I'll see you then.